Team Rivalry Reaction.
All right, how's it going, Big Ten football fans? This is Mackenzie with another low effort 2023 preview for you. Little tired this morning. Decided to try and record first thing on a weekend morning, which I don't know why I do this to myself, but I love football and this channel, so these are the things that we do to try and provide good content. Good low effort content. Oi. Anyway, today we're going to look at the Maryland Terrapins, I was going to say the sweetheart of the East Division, but I don't really know the Big Ten sentiment about the Maryland Terrapins right now. I don't know. How do people feel about Maryland outside of Maryland? Are we all just kind of on the same page? Like the rest of us Big Ten fans are just kind of like, why are Maryland and Rutgers in the Big Ten? I mean, it was obvious. It's for TV ratings, you know, that Maryland, New Jersey TV market is pretty huge. So I get it. It makes sense. But when you see the product on the field, Maryland definitely has more of a reason to be in the Big Ten than I think Rutgers does, at least if you were going strictly based off of talent or quality of games. But that being said, Maryland is one of those interesting teams that you feel bad for, I guess, because they're just, I don't see them ever really getting close to the Big Ten championship. Although Northwestern makes it, well, but that's because of divisions, and divisions are going away next year, actually, and USC and UCLA are joining the Big Ten. So if I were a Maryland Terrapin fan, I would be all right. Grab a sip of water. Now let's get into this. Maryland Terrapins 2022 season. You know, honestly, I don't think it was that bad. I don't think they had a terrible 2022 season. They went to a bowl game. They were 8-5 overall. Did they win their bowl game? They absolutely did. 16-12. That's some defense right there. But they started off with three. I'm not going to say three cupcakes. Buffalo, they're hit or miss in the MAC conference, so that's not a bad win at all. Charlotte's going to be interesting this season. They play them again this season in 2023, and I have some thoughts about that game. Not a ton, but some thoughts there. Southern Methodist, they're competent. You know, they're not a pushover necessarily. This is a decent win, even if it is another group of five team. Man, this Michigan game though, that game as a Michigan fan had me sweating. Okay, like I felt better later into the fourth quarter because Michigan was up by 2 scores at one point. But man, Maryland left everything out on the field, and if it weren't for a couple of sloppy plays, some fundamentals that I think needed to be tightened up by Maryland, which actually I'll get to for 2023, because I want to go through some statistics real quick. But if it weren't for some fundamentals that I thought needed to be cleaned up a little bit, man, this game could have been a little different, and things could have gotten derailed quickly for Michigan. So, beating Michigan State. Michigan State, I think, was a lot worse than a lot of people expected them to be, certainly me. Actually, I may have just done myself a bit of a disservice there. I got to give myself more credit. I think I said Michigan State probably wouldn't be as good. I think that's what I said last season, but I don't know if it's documented on this channel, so I can't make any claims because I don't have the evidence, so whatever. Purdue, eventual Big Ten West champion. This was a very close game for them. Still lost. Indiana, another close game. Northwestern, another close game. But this really should have been a bigger score here. They lost to Wisconsin by a couple of scores. Got blanked by Penn State. Put up a fight against Ohio State. I remember thinking that game was pretty close up until was it the sack fumble or the interception return for a touchdown at the end of the game. I can't remember if it was an interception or a sack fumble. I think it was a sack fumble. Pretty sure it was a sack fumble. But Ohio State returned that for a touchdown. Otherwise, that game could have been really interesting because Maryland was going to go on a potential game-winning or game-tying drive there at the end. So that would have been interesting. Blanked Rutgers at the end of the season to get bowl eligibility. No, wait, they already had bowl eligibility by beating Northwestern. So just added to their stats a little bit against Rutgers. Solid win there. And then they beat North Carolina State using some hefty defense. Exciting stuff. Now, what can we learn from the 2022 season of the Maryland Terrapins? Well, I took the liberty of going through some stats and I will look through them now. So the biggest thing that I wanted to look at was Maryland's offense. So Maryland averages, let me find my stats again. Maryland averaged, see, and this is why I should be more prepared. There it is. Sorry about that. Maryland averages 259.8 yards passing per game to be 41st in the nation. They put up 141 rushing yards per game to be 80th in the nation. So rushing yards, definitely some room for improvement there. They were 80th in the nation. Passing yards, they were 41st, so room for improvement there as well. But that's almost a 300-yard per game average. That's not bad. I mean, a Michigan quarterback's not going to put up a 300 per game average. I bet you, I should check that real quick, but that's going to derail me a little bit. So I bet you anything, this is definitely a lot higher than most of the teams in the Big Ten. I would probably say. I could be wrong about that. That might be a bold claim that I'll live to regret, but whatever. In any case, that's a really high average. But then look at their points per game. They score only 28 points per game. They're only putting in 4 touchdowns a game on average. So what's going wrong here? So I wanted to look and see why it is that they are moving the ball decently efficiently. I mean, 260 yards passing is nothing to sniff at. Averaging 141 yards rushing is, again, nothing to sniff at. And a lot of that most likely is coming from Talia Tagovailoa, who is definitely a mobile quarterback. I'm pretty sure. I want to say he's a mobile quarterback. They do have a couple. I know they have a couple of running backs that are really good as well, which I probably should look into. I can look into that in just a second, just to see how well they're spreading the ball around. But focusing on their points per game here being a little bit lower than I would have expected, having such a high passing statistic here, I looked at their red zone efficiency. So they're 69%, which in my opinion is really not terrible. I think it definitely needs to be higher, and this could definitely lead to some. I mean, it's going to lead to points being left on the field, so this is definitely something that they're going to need to tighten up, and quickly. Frankly, this would probably be a point of emphasis over the off season, but I'm actually going to go against that a little bit and say that this is honestly not that bad. Maybe I need to do a little bit more research on that. I'm not sure. But 69%. The thing that really gets me, though, is that they were 42% on third down efficiency. So they converted less than half of their third downs. That's definitely leaving some points on the field. So this was an offense that was really hit or miss. They were either firing on all cylinders or they weren't firing on any cylinders. Fourth down efficiency, they were 61%. So they had to go for it on fourth down several times because third down efficiency was so sporadic or erratic. Not very good. But 61% on fourth down. The other thing that would really harm them as well is the fact that they averaged 71 yards in penalties a game. So this is what I'm talking about, fundamentals. They gave up 24 sacks throughout the entire season for a 159-yard total loss there as well. Definitely need to clean that up. They need to clean up these fundamentals if they want to see any success in 2023, which was really the point that I wanted to get to overall with Maryland. So I wanted to look up something, but I can't. Oh yeah, I wanted to look up and see how their running backs look real quick. College football total. No, I don't want the entire total team stats. I just want their team stats. Just Maryland. There we go. Team stats. Rushing. Yeah, so they've got Roman Hemby, running back. He got 989 yards on the season for a 5.3 average. He scored 10 touchdowns. Yeah, so I mean, he's almost a 1,000-yard rusher, but I think the problem is that their next running back only had 379 yards and then 140 for the next guy and 136, 122. So I mean, yeah, they spread the ball around a little bit with rushing, but and they actually had really good averages too. So Roman Hemby averaged 5 yards a carry. Antoine Littleton, the second, averaged 5 yards a carry. Colby McDonald, 4.7. Billy Edwards Jr., who's a quarterback even, also had 4 yards per carry. And then Talia Tagovailoa actually only averaged 0.7 yards per carry. So that's interesting. I thought initially that a lot of their rushing yards came because Talia Tagovailoa scrambled, which maybe some of them did, but not a ton. So I wonder if he's actually as mobile a quarterback as I thought he was. Maybe not. Interesting stuff. So some of these running backs are definitely efficient. That actually looks like a pretty good offensive line even. These numbers are kind of indicative of that. So I wonder, that's going to be interesting to see where their offensive line is going to be to start this season. But they did lose a couple of big names in receiving, which is their bread and butter at this point, to the NFL draft. I can't, who did they lose? I got to look that up real quick. They lost. That's going to take me too long to find. I can't remember who they lost. My bad. But they did pick up a couple of transfers in the portal to fill in some holes there. But they spread the ball around a lot through the passing game. You've got Jeshuan Jones, I want to say is his name. Sorry if I mispronounced that. My bad, dude. 557 yards. Corey Dyches, 494 yards. Raheem Jarrett, knew that one, 471 yards. And then Jacob. It's just Jacob. I was going to say Jacoby. Jacob Copeland with 376 yards. So they spread it around a bit. So they're definitely going to, they with a couple of losses to the NFL, though, they needed to fill that in, which they did. And I looked this up. Who did they bring in? They've got Caden Prather from West Virginia. He's a wide receiver. He's a 4-star, so he's transferring in with immediate eligibility. And then Tyrese Chambers is transferring in from Florida International. He ended high school as a 3-star. And then gained a star while at Florida International, so he's a 4-star transfer. And then they do have some other positions coming in, especially offensive tackle. They've got a bunch of offensive linemen coming in, and then edge rushers and a cornerback CB, a 4-star CB even, in Jaquan Shepard from Cincinnati. No doubt he transferred from Cincinnati because he didn't want to go or stay at a place with first-year head coach. So, interesting stuff there. Anyway, let's get to what I think their 2023 season is going to be then. Looking at the 2023 season, the opener is Towson. Maryland's going to win that game. Charlotte is an interesting game here. I think Maryland's going to win this, but I think this might actually be another toughie because they played Charlotte rather tough last season. No, never mind. It didn't really. Charlotte played them rather tough. That's what I was trying to say, not the other way around. But Charlotte's actually picked up a couple of transfers from Michigan. Not saying that makes it so that Charlotte's probably going to win, because they're not. But this is going to be an interesting game to watch. Virginia, not a huge ACC person myself. I believe they're in the ACC, so I don't know a ton about them, but I've heard that they're a mess, and they did not have a good record last season, so they're a mess. Michigan State, obviously, they were a mess. I think people are going to expect them to be better this season. They do have some good talent returning. They lost a few guys to the NFL, specifically Jaden Reed, I'm thinking of, who went to the Packers. So this could be an interesting game. I'm inclined to think that Maryland is actually probably better suited to win this game, although it is at Spartan Stadium. So right now I'm kind of a toss up here. I'm not sure who's going to win that. So right now I'm thinking let's give them Maryland the benefit of the doubt. Let's say 4-0 so far. They got Indiana, so I'm thinking 5-0. And then Ohio State, I understand they've got some questions on O-line. They've got a question in the quarterback room. But Ohio State's still going to win this game. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1. Illinois is a question mark to me right now. I really don't know a ton of what to expect from them because I didn't know what to expect last season, and they were a pleasant surprise. So I'm going to say that Maryland's going to win this game for right now. So let's just call that 6-1. Northwestern, they were really bad last season, and I don't know that there's a ton of reason to expect that they'll be much better this season. So I'm going to go ahead and say 7-1 right now. Penn State's going to be good this year. I mean, I think that they're actually kind of overrated, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to be good. I think that they're probably a solid 9-3, but I don't think Maryland's one of those three. So I'm going to call this, what did I say? 7-1, 7-2. Nebraska, that's at Nebraska, but Nebraska's got a first-year head coach. They're a question mark. Casey Thompson, Nebraska quarterback, is back in the portal. That's a bit late considering where we are in the season right now. So a little bit of quarterback controversy maybe there. Not sure. They're a little unstable. I think this is a win for Maryland. So that was 7-2, 8-2, 8-3. I don't know that I need to say much about Michigan. I expect them to compete for a national championship again this year. So there you go. 8-3, and then 9-3 with Rutgers, because I think Rutgers is still just kind of a little bit of a weaker team compared to Maryland. So my prediction right now is going to be Maryland 9-3 immediately, or very, very. Wow, what did I just say? What was that travesty of a sentence that I just tried to speak? A lot better of a season this year than last season. So very good for Maryland there. That's good to hear. Good stuff. I think I even started this video saying out that they're probably not going to be very good this season, which I regret. But they've got a very favorable schedule. So, yeah, 9-3 seems reasonable to me. We'll just go with that. I would expect them to probably compete in a pretty high-level bowl game then. So that'll be interesting. I'd like to see how they do. If they win that, they'd have some really good momentum coming into 24. But then they're losing Talia Tagovailoa after this season. I believe he's a senior. So that'll be interesting. Next season will be really interesting for them too. Anyway, if you like this video, please consider giving it a like. I know it's a very difficult thing to do, but that's all I ask, is that you give it a like. It's really helpful. If you think my takes are absolute trash, which, let's be honest, I get it. Let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, feel free to subscribe if you want more low-effort content like this, and we'll see you in the next video.
Hey!